Hello, gorgeous divas. I decided to do a video this morning. I think it's about 6 a.m. here in Australia, and I'm actually going to go and work. I can't even talk yet. Work out. But I wanted to share something with you. I'm just actually waking up, and my energy is quite gentle and slow, and I don't want to wake up my daughter. But I wanted to talk to you today. Hey, Cindy. Hey, everyone. It's very early here in the morning. I'm going to work out, move my body. And hey, Joanne, you're up early. Adora, Tia-ho. Hey, gorgeous ones. People I know very well. Oh boy, I need to work out this stand a little bit better because I keep cutting off my head, but it's okay. So I have a really, really heartfelt, important message today that is like, it's just rising up in me big time. Something that I've practiced for a long time, and it's something that I feel gets cultivated and lifted in me as I take more and more risks in my business, and I fall more deeply into deep appreciation of myself and my holy divine message and my legacy and my call, the soul call, right, that I have to serve so deeply. So let's get really, really clear about this. Hey, always up early. I know we are. Our spirits call us into action. That's why we get so much work done. But really, for me, I see a lot of people talking about, one of their core fears, and something that they really need to get over is this fear of being rejected, being attacked, not being liked, feeling potentially the fear of being ostracized, harshly judged, and all that jazz, right? And I see so many women in that space, and there's no judgment on it from me whatsoever. I have deep, deep, deep empathy around that. I used to have a lot of fear around being seen myself. But I made a choice. I made a choice when I was stuck being broke, under earning, discounting my services, discounting myself, discounting my voice, discounting my presence, discounting my radical, divine, potent healing abilities, discounting, constricting, and constricting. Because us women have been fed a myth, hey, gorgeous Jaylee, from a long, long time ago, to be silent, to not take up too much space, to fit in, to get along. Women also judge each other, and women also attack each other because of our deep, deep wounds. We drag each other into that way of relating, often without even realizing it. We might not verbally attack, but we do judge each other because of this conditioning, because of this type of competition and this belief in scarcity. We are sitting in a billion-dollar, golden billion dollar world, really. There's always a polarity of suffering and poverty, and all the problems in the world doesn't come from making more money, doesn't come from standing in our power. Suffering like that is a power play, usually run by the big boys at B. So I have no shame, I decided, around making more money, because money, when used to nourish our families, used to nourish ourselves, used to reward us because of the work that we do, used to pay it forward, used to give back, used to create radical change and healing on the planet, is a beautiful, most powerful tool, because that brings money and love together. So I'm bringing that into the equation of this discussion today because it's really, really powerful in terms of not also giving a crock about what people think of you. Because women and monetization and making more money online, there's usually so much shame around the whole money conversation, right? And we've got to start to literally dissolve that, eradicate it, burn it down so that we can rise up. Now, here's why I really don't give a crock. Because let's understand human psychology. Let's just get really, really real about what happens. Hey, Jackie. Hey, everybody. Around projection and people's opinions of us. Let's just really ground into the truth of that. People's opinions of us, so I'm cutting myself off. Sorry, guys. Literally is a projection of their own self-worth. It has literally nothing to do with us. I am not here to please. I am not here to be liked. I like myself. I made that choice. I've done the self-attack. I've done the anxiety. I've done the self-hatred. I've done the eating disorders. I've done the pill popping. I've done the starvation. I've done the poverty consciousness. And I really had decided when I gave birth to my daughter that enough was enough. That this way of relating to myself, which I did for like 35 years, and yes, I've been working on it for a long time, but let's get real. I was still about 5 years ago, I was still really just stuck in that under earning. I gave birth to my daughter and I was like, what the F am I doing? And I at that point had really sort of dodgy family relationships, and there was, I see a lot of people saying, oh, my mother doesn't get what I do, my father doesn't get what I do, I don't get enough support. And I say, come on, wakey. Stop being disempowered. Stop waiting for people to validate you and approve of you in order for you to take your rightful place as a divine leader diva who takes full responsibility for her life. That is a crock of BS. It is not their job. Woe is you, right? Let's have a good giggle about it. I did a big healing yesterday with a client of mine, a private client of mine, and we were working on strategy in her funnel, and she's doing fantastically. She's made 70 grand or more cash in 7 weeks when she first started working with me, and we're now going into the whole $1 million massive strategy stuff. Anyway, she's an amazing healer. And she was telling me a little bit about her mother and the cycle with her mum, and we worked out that it affects money and abundance and the whole thing. And I asked her, could I be, really, really frank? And I will go into the whole crock thing, but this all relates, right? Around not giving a shit. Oh, sorry, I just swore. Sorry, I try to not swear, so if I make an ad out of something, it won't get blocked. But anyway, that's fine. I'm just going to swear, but not to give a shit about what people think of you. Actually, I'll just summarize it as this too, is an act of divine service. So I'll come back to that story about that client, but it's an act, because that relates to me and it relates to all of us, especially women who've had mummy or daddy issues, really quite, leader diva, right? So, someone just paid me. Yay, thank you for that person who just paid me. I love it. I love making money. And why do I love making money? Because the more nourished I am, the better leader I become. Me getting over my stuff and not giving a shiz has led me to literally serve hundreds of women, and that's not hundreds of women, actually thousands of women. Yes, it was you, Jiley. Thousands of women. I claim my holy diva power. I own my frigging voice. I speak up. I am heard. And in doing that, I activate others. And I am no longer the impoverished victim of a woman that I was. Going back to victimhood around this journey that we have with our parents. And I said to this girl, your mother will be dead before you know it. Your mother will be dead before you know it. The drama that's going on here is you're trying to get something from her and you're resentful, and so you keep feeding that journey. And I did that for over 30 years. You keep feeding that, right? And you go into the attack mode actually, because you're saying, you're not giving me enough, you're not doing enough, I need you to behave a certain way. I've been there. I did that cycle for a long time. Complete victim. Get over it. All you're doing is lowering your vibration and creating this sort of illusion and suffering. You're feeding the suffering. And I will tell you, when you continually engage in suffering, you know what it does? It takes you off path. It diminishes your life force. It diminishes your energy. You have no time to be thinking about how can I serve? How can I build a business? Because your frequency is stuck in vibrational victimhood, right? So timely as usual. Hey, Holly, do you see? So, and I've had incredibly trying times with my family and my parents, and I'm not blaming anyone, but let's just say it's been pretty freaking, I used to wake up in nightmares with trauma around my stuff, right? Anyway, the biggest thing that shifted for me is having a perception choice around, okay, what if they were the most divine people that I have actually chosen? Number one, they're my teachers, right? They're my teachers. What have they taught me? And instead of, attacking them, what if I just loved them? And literally, because otherwise what I was doing for so long was energetically taking on their suffering. And then I was becoming part of the problem and acting like some needy child. And by the way, part of the whole process is, that's my designer telling me she sent my webinar design. Some needy child trying to get them to behave a certain way, being caught in that, I'm not getting enough, woe is me drama. And you know what? It ruins your adrenals. It ruins your sense of well-being. It slows down your metabolism. It basically creates utter chaos, and you can never live at the highest vibration. You just can't, because you're being a victim. So this is not to condone bad behavior or anything like that. It's not to condone abuse or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But it's and there is a part of it with your healing where you need to rage it out, cry it out. You need to hold sacred space for the emotion that needs to come up to be released. You need to learn from it. You need to grow from it. And I will be very honest about this. There's sort of a novice, sometimes immature, young, like victim archetype, the princess kind of archetype that plays into this, right? And you're here to be a queen. You're here to be a diva. Diva standing for the divinity, right? You're here to be a divine expression. So you don't want to crucify yourself for having emotions, for having rage, for feeling into the feeling of maybe not having the parents that you wanted to have, but then looking at, well, what is the gift in it, and what if they were perfect for my ascension? So I remember saying to my mother recently, with the utmost of respect, not in a passive aggressive way or whatever, I just want to say I love you so much. You're so amazing. And I trust in myself and life and in us that I chose the most perfect mother to slay it in my life. Because all the stuff that almost killed me and brought me down to literally my knees, brought me into physical poisonous suffering that showed up as a mass in my uterus that literally poisoned my blood, 3 surgeries, cut open, blood poisoning, horrible mess, was the catalyst. It was like a putrid creation that I had in my uterus, right? Which was really a representation of all my suffering. And it was through that, almost losing my life and getting down on my hands and knees, that I started praying. And I learned to come back into my power. And I never got enough. They say, when you're in suffering, you get down on your hands and knees and you start praying, and you never get up. Because at that point, I didn't really have anybody to rely on. And you know what? That was a sacred gift, because that taught me how to rely on myself, to connect to my own source, to literally shape-shift my body, my cellular health, my finances, my everything in order to rise. So I had to really rescue myself. So at the end of the day, no matter who you hire as a coach, a healer, a leader as well, you need to understand that you have to rescue yourself. And one of the things is giving up victimhood. And it's a very humbling experience to look at yourself and go, oh my God, like I'm perpetuating this. And not to say, not to be attacking, right? We don't want to be attacking. It's to have reverence, to love ourselves, to hold ourselves sacred, to cry, to grieve what we feel that we didn't receive, and then to let that story go. Because unless you let that story go, you will perpetuate a lifetime, if not lifetimes, of suffering. So what is it going to take for you to let that story go? And the other thing is, what are you getting out of it? Because right now, hey Melissa, 2 Melissas, what are you getting out of it? You're getting something out of it. It is literally, usually, by the way, stopping you completely from having what you want, what you desire, and being in your power, and being the woman that does attract the clients, that does rise up, that does have a nourishing relationship with herself, a nourishing relationship with others. By the way, you need to have a frigging nourishing relationship with yourself before you can really allow in nourishing relationships with others. And including that with clients, with people that you draw in. Otherwise, if you're a victim, you're gonna attract the same cycle of victim in your business. It's just gonna keep playing out and playing out and playing out. Who's with me here? Can I get an amen on this, sister? Yes. Roxanne, this will be my wake up before my planning day until I remember who I was when I was fearless. Yeah. And you know what? It's okay to have fear. Feel the fear and do it anyway. You probably heard of that saying. There's nothing wrong with fear. We've got to stop shaming ourselves for having emotions. We're human beings. We're going to have emotions. We're going to have all these different feelings that come up, and women aren't taught to have reverence for our emotion. Learn from it, feel it. Ask yourself, what is this really about? What is this really about? What is this fear teaching me? What do I need to release in order to go to that next level? Because it's showing you what needs to be released. So like, let's praise the fear in a way. Let's look at it with reverence and curiosity and love and learn from it. Because when we do, we dissolve it. If we then go into attack on the fear and then berate ourselves, what we do is we get consumed by it and the fear grows. And I, who used to suffer from sublime, I can't even talk today. Well, sublime, I won't call it sublime, just anxiety attacks. They weren't sublime, they were hell. Anxiety attacks. Sorry, I'm a bit tired of being writing so much copy for clients this week, working my little tush off my designers going away. And I'm tired, but I feel good today. I just want to segue into something else quickly. I'm going to train with my trainer. I'm going to walk. I'm going to take my daughter to school. I'm going to do a tiny bit of writing for a video that I'm doing for my new landing page for my website. Yeah, and I think fear versus excitement, they're very sort of like, I guess you can get excited about looking at the fear. That would be great. I think curiosity is great. I think compassion for self is great. And then always asking, what are you getting out of it? Because there's something that's usually, there's usually a deeper fear around letting go of this stuff. That has been for me. So for example, without really realizing it, the staying trapped in that victimhood, it really literally made me impoverished. You know, it made me impoverished financially, it made me impoverished physically, energetically, right? So, but if we look deeper into the fear as well, and how it's serving us, so if you go deeper and deeper into it, you could ask yourself, you know, what is the deeper reason why I'm doing this? Because there's usually a deeper fear. So my deeper fear was probably being judged, was being seen. Do I really have the talent? And also buying into drama is a behavioral pattern. So the brain reconditions itself, and that becomes your kind of modus operandi, right? And you can literally shape-shift that way, that pattern of responding when you let go of victimhood, but also be honest about how you hold yourself back and how you're perpetuating that cycle of drama, right? Because no one's doing it to you, we create it. And one of the most powerful things, and I shared this story with a client too yesterday, was that when I really began to change things at a more deeper level, especially with my own relationship with someone in my life, my divine mother, she did something. Hey Leah, hey Eve, I'm seeing so many beautiful old faces, people that I currently work with too, who are all amazing. So she did something, it's a typical pattern where she kind of came out in this very intense way, and she's a friend of mine on Facebook, so I won't go too much into it, but she came out in this really intense way, and I had a choice at that moment to either perpetuate it and buy into it and go, oh my God, why do you do that? And could you just be like, calm down? Could you be a bit more like this? And this is what I need from you. And I was like, okay, I can't be that person anymore, because that never works for me. And my dog wants to go outside, and I keep creating that cycle. Charlie, come here. Charlie, come here. Charlie, come and sit up here. You want to come and say hello to everybody? Can you guys see Charlie? That's my beautiful fluffy baby. She wants to go for a walk. So bear with me to today, guys. Maybe I'm going into a new dimension. It's either I'm really tired or I'm going into some new energy field, which is probably true too. Anyway, I decided to shift things. So I took a beat and I stopped myself from just reacting, you know, and I took about 5 or 6 seconds and was like, okay, I can feel that I feel a bit frustrated by this. The energy of this is really just dense. And what would be the most highest vibration of my response to this? And so I said this. I said, Mum, I love you so much. I just love you so much. Are you okay? Can I give you a call? Do you need a hug? What do you need? I just love you so much. And even just doing that and saying that makes me want to cry. I just love you so much. So when you respond in that way, you've got to get over your ego. You've got to put your victimhood aside. You've got to put your needs almost a little bit to the side as well, and actually give what you want, right? You give what you desire. And you create a pattern interrupt, right? You create a whole new reality for yourself. And she turns around and is like, oh yeah, you know, oh my God, I want love. It's like the love. So all I gave was love, not anger, not resentment, not frustration, not attack, just love. Very interesting experience. Can you get what I'm saying? I mean, this has been a pattern of decades of just me wanting something and then that person wanting something, and you go back and forward and you're both trying to get your needs met, and it's this just complete and utter frigging mess, right? So I just gave love, I just gave my heart, and it literally dissolved everything and anything. And we used to have something intense happen between us every week, and literally in the last few months there has literally been only love, only ease, only respect. And I'm not expecting respect, and I'm not expecting anything back. But you know what? Because I'm giving love, what I'm receiving back is love. And that also brings me to my point. And that literally has stopped me from being drained. And then there's no excuses when we stop the drama. There's no excuses when we get over our victimhood. So I see with a lot of femme entrepreneurs, they'll buy into the drama. I'm always asking, and ask yourself with love, what are you so afraid of? Because if you removed that drama and that state of being, where you think someone else is attacking you, but then you attack them back and you create this sort of, what would you be doing with your time? Where would you be going? There's no more excuses, because when you let go of your victimhood, there's just this path. There is a path that is clear. And then coming back to not giving a crock, the reality is when people project or attack, I don't get a lot of negativity because I do one very, very beautiful divine intention. It's a ritual that I do. Number one, I'm sitting here with you speaking. I am sitting here connecting, and all I see coming back to me is love. People who don't get me, people who don't like me, people who, hey Fazana, thank you, people who feel triggered by me. It is not my problem. I am free. You are free to be in your power. You are free to express the fullness, because that's what we're really here to do. That's our calling. No matter what you're selling, no matter what you do in your life, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, we are free. You are free to express the fullness of you, and how anyone else decides to respond to that is on them. It has nothing to do with you. And really feel into that. It literally has nothing to do with you. So when I come out here and I share myself with all my imperfection, I'm tired today, a bit stumbling, I'm sharing in my vulnerability, in my heart, I am enough. I am enough. And you are enough, right? And I made a pact, I'm not going to be the broke, insecure, self-attacking woman anymore. I'm going to love myself up. I'm going to set a beautiful white light and an energetic presence around myself. I'm going to take full responsibility to grow my empire and serve. And by the way, I have webinars that convert. Like, I've done $400,000 freaking months. I've done $200,000 webinars. Why do you think, how does that happen? How does that happen? It comes down to this: not giving a crock about what people think of you. Because when I do any training, whether it's these live streams, whether it's my webinars, whether it's a tripwire page with a message that I'm sharing, and I'm sharing a product, my sales pages, there is a level of divinity and presence. I take risks because I don't need validation. Of course I want to sell. Of course I want to connect. Of course I want to serve. But the way that we add value, the way that we connect to our audience is not by hiding and not by worrying and being concerned by what they think. It's about owning our sacred, holy, deeper voice, power, message, and speaking up, right? And speaking up. And that creates intimacy. And we cannot have intimacy unless we look into me, I see. We look within. We cultivate the presence from within. And then we're not in some sort of desperate kind of, these messages coming up. These desperate states of being where we are needing someone else to like us. So usually that need of wanting to be liked, to be approved of from an external source creates massive restriction, constriction, suppression. It's almost like a disease. It's a disease in the body that stifles women around getting up online, speaking our truth, calling people into action. And really at the end of the day, the reason why I sell well is because I'm an activator. And I say this to all my students: we're here to wake people up from their friggin' slumber, right? A lot of people are holding back, and before we know it, we're all gonna be dead. And we're leaving this plane, it's going to come quicker. I'm 43. It's gone by like a freight train, and it's only getting faster and faster and faster. And I have my dad who is dying of bone cancer right now. And that's even galvanizing me more because we don't have time to wait. And you know what? The joy of, and the freedom and the liberation and my health and my sense of self, my well-being, even if I never sold another product, this way of being with ourselves, like a self-loving, appreciative, giving ourselves permission to take risks, to speak up, to be fully seen, and to serve deeply. The risk of making fools of ourselves, the risk of people not liking us. But what guides me with this too is that my desire and my service and my calling is so juicy, and it moves me. It moves me forward to throw myself out there, right? Because it's such a potent why. It's such a potent call for me, because I'm overseeing so many women suffer financially, energetically, right? I'm over it. I've suffered with that my entire life. So it's a very deep why for me. Also becoming a leader for my daughter and allowing her to really believe in herself. The only way I'm truly going to teach that is for me to actually walk my talk and to demonstrate the key traits that I would love her to have, so that she can live as a liberated, nourished, free, empowered woman who's not seeking external validation for her self-worth or permission to rise, right? I am inviting you to give yourself permission in this moment to claim it. If you want riches, if you want love, connection, flow, you got to claim that shit for yourself. You know, no one can do that for you. You've got to decide. And I've usually made some of those most powerful decisions and choices in my life and created radical change in my life when I've had that fuck this shit moment. I'm like, you know what? Our boys do need it too. Absolutely, Cindy. When I've been like, okay, I can't do this for one more moment. I literally feel like I can't breathe. I literally have to move. I've got to do something different. It was the same when I used to have chronic eating disorder, and I remember sitting there with my chubby little legs on the beach. You know, I'd been binging and purging for years, starving myself, and I had a little bit of yummy flesh on my body, and I wasn't happy with that. But you know what? I hadn't been happy with that for a very long time. And I remember after having the disease that I had and these 3 operations where I was cut open and all that kind of stuff. And I remember praying to God and saying, okay, you know, give me the courage and the ability to literally kind of end this saga for myself. And I'm going to do something. I've got a really clear message. Like, you've just got to basically flip the switch and do something completely different. So that meant going from self-hatred and self-attack to self-love, and like just loving what is, right? And just loving myself, my body for all its whatever social perceived flaws, because really the femme body comes in many shapes and sizes, and it's all beautiful, right? And so I thought, I'm just gonna love it. And so I grabbed my thighs and I was massaging my thighs and was like, I love you, I love you, I love my fat thighs. And that became a new invocation, a new way of relating to myself and my body. And in that moment, I began to stop and create a pattern interrupt and a new way of relating to myself. Because I thought, you know what, this isn't working. It's just making me sicker and sicker and sicker. It's making me miserable. And so I'm not going to buy into this patriarchal social conditioning of what it is to be the perfect, beautiful, skinny woman. And I'm just going to start to just love. And let's see how this goes. Let's see what happens. And literally, I do a lot of visualization and prayer work and chants, and I write my own prayers, and I would write prayers like an alchemy for healing, a mantra for freeing, our sweet sacred flower. It's time for us to love our bodies. It's time for us to know our passions. It's time to live free and unlock the chains. And oh woman, dance with me. Now it's time to live in potent friggin' ecstasy. So I would write all these prayers and I would chant them and chant them and chant them until they literally became a divine way of my being, right? And in doing that, I literally began to shape shift my body, my belly, my thighs, and it really, with no attachment to that, I made a choice years ago that I would eat well, I would exercise moderately, and that was going to have to be enough. And however my body transformed, or whatever happened to my body at that point, was going to be okay with me. That I didn't want to do this calorie counting self-abuse thing any longer. And when I put the dagger down, as I call it, that gave me so much more energy to look at, okay, what do I want to create in my life? Where do I want to go? Who do I want to serve? And how am I going to do that? And pulled up my big girl panties, and probably a lot of you know my story, that I went from selling low end or 1 hour sessions for $100 or whatever it was to selling high end. And the shift there was, okay, well, I'm not taking from people. I'm not doing anything nasty. My work is potent as all F as yours is. And I'm going to really value the work. So I think a lot of people, when they're talking about putting higher price tags on offers and things like that, a lot of people you see talking about, value yourself. Well, it is partly valuing yourself, but I'd like to just offer a little bit of a shift here on the perception of this and the understanding of this. Really, at the end of the day, if we really get true about our divinity and our diviness, who we are and our personal value is priceless, right? It is priceless in terms of we're human beings, we're divine women, we are priceless, right? So it's actually crazy to say put a value on yourself, because you're actually selling more the results, the transformation. You're not really selling yourself. You're selling the experience and the transformation that people get when they come with you. So stop thinking about the money being about your value. You've got a bit of a weird relationship with money or a bit of an unhealthy one at the moment. That's okay, because this shift was really, really helpful for me. And that is the price that I put on my work is around the transformation. So the value of that transformation. So if someone comes and gets 20 times, 30 times ROI on the investment with me, you know, like they say someone pays me 10 grand and they go off and make 100 grand, that's a 9 times growth, right? You know, that is worth a lot. It's actually worth probably more than 10 grand, because really it doesn't stop there at the 100 grand. When people learn how to run their businesses differently, they get their mindset on point, their frequency on point, they don't go back. You know, when you really get it down, finally, some people take a long time to do that. Some people, it happens very, very quickly for them. It's different for everybody depending on how much stuff they have to clear, right? And their resistance to it. That's how I price my work. So I have offers right now, private with me, big dollars, very big dollars to some degree. But if you look at if someone does a 3-hour intensive with me, which is why I don't sell massive packages anymore usually, just because I have my other Diva Mind, my other mastermind. I have over 100 students there, and my digital products now. So I'm very discerning on who I work with. So, and I also I want people to really see the value, and I want to make sure that we're aligned if we're going to work together going forward. So I offer a 3-hour immersion, and then they can upgrade from there once we make sure that everything's flowing and we're really, really jiving. But the price point is kind of high, but when I look at the ROI that comes from that, it's actually really low, because I'm pretty much a rockstar diva at conversion. So whether it's copy conversion funnels, webinars, strategy, branding, and then I also infuse radical divine healing in there. So like I was doing this session with a client yesterday, and you know, other stuff will come up and I'm like, let's go there. Let's just go there. And that was really powerful. So we literally mapped out an entire funnel, all new brand names, a whole program in an hour, of which he's got some fill-ins to do, price points down, sales, blah-de-blah-de-blah, and then we're talking about victimhood. And it's a certain type of person that can handle that, but what happens is that the grief part of that, the thank you, Fazana, so are you, the grief part of looking at yourself in the mirror, and that real, like when you're like, oh my God, and I always ask for permission, like, do you want me to really tell you what I think about this? And the only reason that I feel that I can do it that way is because I've been that person. I've been the victim, I've been the wounded, I've been the attacker, I've been the persecutor, I've been all those things. So and I've trapped myself in a nightmare for many, many years. And, you know, guys, sometimes, you know, like my frequency is quite fast, but then you can laugh at yourself and look at the slowness sometimes, like when you're slow to learn. And I also would like to invite you to have real compassion and also look at the brilliance of that too, because usually those that sometimes are a bit slow to learn end up learning it really freaking well when they're ready, right? Because it becomes, you know, and then you can teach it. It becomes part of your intellectual property. So with this client, I was saying, okay, this is gold, and don't worry, you know, and the only reason I'm talking to you about it in this way and we can move through it really quickly is because I've been there and there's no judgment whatsoever, and we need to see some of the humor in it as well. She had a big cry, I had a cry. But you learn it so deep that we can go on and teach it. You know, I stayed trapped in a lot of my shit for a long, long time, and so I can laugh at myself and go, oh my God, you know, but now I can like literally laser in and be very lucid, clear about the path that I believe is needed to help activate someone and clear something very, very rapidly. Because I've actually been really tired the last few years, actually. I have worked so diligently. I've done some toxic things as well. I have gotten myself into sometimes a bit of overgiving, which has just stopped, which is great. We still get a lot in our mastermind. People say it's like insane, but I've found ways to be supported. So I have other coaches and other Ingrids, starting to develop other Ingrids to support my people, so that I am nourished and that I can keep growing this business in a sustainable way. And so the truth is I'm beginning to actually work less. And as I'm actually beginning to work less, I mean, I always do my healing sort of alchemy work, but a lot more of that's coming through. And I'm going to also be launching a $1 Million Diva membership. It's going to be $97 a month. First month is $1. And I'm partnered up with a beautiful kinesiologist friend of mine who's a healer who works in my mastermind with me as well. And she's going to be doing those classes and me myself. And, you know, it wasn't until recently, I've got the copy ready, we're building this stuff. I was literally like, oh, I don't know if I can hold that space right now. And I couldn't then, and I can now. And that's because I've created the structures in my business, and because I'm not doing it alone, and I have great people and a great team, and it's just wonderful. And then I pass it on to my students on like how I've done that, and I have a sales team, and I have the whole, you know, I barely get on sales calls. I say, not because I'm precious and I don't feel that I don't want to speak to people. I might call someone on the phone for like 10-15 minutes, but usually most of the sales are now done through my team or webinars and things like that, because I literally don't have the time. And my time is best used on service and making sure that I honor my word with my students, looking forward to the future of what we're creating, and being able to achieve a healing program that we're going to be doing like that is going to be something I believe is radically healing for so many. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have the structures in my business to support the growth and to make sure that I can stick to the quality in my work. Does that make sense, everybody? Like, because I see a lot of people growing, they talk about making more money, but the quality of their work diminishes. And I know this because I've referred people to people, and then they don't have the structures in their business to handle the growth. So things just become chaotic and crazy and borderline dysfunctional, and then the standard of the work drops quite a lot. So, you know, I could help someone get a lot of new business, right? Hey Suzanne, but hey gorgeous, that's one of my mother-in-law, who's an amazing woman. Get a lot of new business, but if I'm doing referrals or anything, I've got to understand that person has the right structures in place to be able to sustain that growth, because otherwise it looks bad on me and the whole thing is like a shit. So I'm very, very mindful of who I'm referring people to as well around that quality control, because then it comes back onto my brand. So, you know, what if you could bring in another 10, 20, 30, 40K a month even? Well, what structures do you need in place? And I think a lot of women are so caught in, oh, can I really make $5,000 a month? Can I really do this a month? Can I really do, oh, you know, like what's she talking about, like around this money? And I feel really funny about it. I don't really think I can do it. And the mindset around the money consciousness is so limited that you're not thinking and strategizing around, okay, well, I want to go from 10 grand to 20 grand, 30, 40, 50 grand. How do I do that? They're the questions that entrepreneurs need to be asking, or 100 grand or whatever it is that you want a month, 200 grand. It's like looking at money in a whole new way, taking out our self-esteem, and that whole kind of nightmare relationship that we have with money, and putting it to the side. Like I wrote that post the other day, it's such a crock. You know, men go out, they make money, there seems to be very little shame, there's no justification. Like, you want to build an ashram and serve humanity, you know, if you want to build an ashram and serve humanity, good on you. You know, if you want 20 pairs of Milano Blahniks and you want to drive, you know, a Tesla or a Porsche or whatever it is that you're into, you can have that. It's okay, you don't need to justify it. If you want to do both, then that's great too. You know, I don't need, you know, a million houses. I like my one house. I'm fine with that. I like to travel. I like my nice clothes and things like that. I don't need, though, a lot of stuff, because once I've had that, that's nice. I can buy it. I can have it. It's like sort of something that's quite fulfilled for me. I have a nice car, whatever, Volvo SUV, that's fine. I might get a sports car down the line. I don't know, but for me, I think this justification around it is just ridiculous. Like, if you want money, You need money, and in order to give back, and in order to contribute, you just give back to yourself. So that, you know, the amount of women that are homeless at the age of 50 or 60, I'm just gonna let my dog, sorry guys, go out, that are, you know, 50 or 60 years old, who end up there in divorce, they didn't have their own careers, they have no money of their own, they have no super, no nothing, they're homeless and struggling, and that is not going to be my journey. I think Aria's waking up. Charlie, do you want to go outside?
I just did wake.
You did wake up?
I'm trying to dress myself.
You're trying to dress yourself?
Shoes on.
This is my baby. This is one of... she just put her shoes on. Do you want to say hi? She's hiding. She's one of my whys. Well, she's probably one of my biggest... Apart from all the women that I want to serve, number one, I want to have fun. I want to be free. I want to travel. I want to connect with people. I want to dance with life. I'm over the journey of suffering, right? I'm done with that shiz. There'll be enough suffering anyway, probably. Part of life. But, you know, I'm not... I'm just wanting to have a really good time in my life. And the only way to do that is to be free and not really give a fuck whatever anyone thinks of you, honestly. So to wrap up this video today, sorry, I've been babbling on a bit, but to wrap it up, oh my God, it feels so good to not worry anymore about people liking me or getting it. I get it. I like me. That I just show up and do my thing, and it works. It really works very well. It works. It works around my health, my well-being, my financial well-being, the whole shebang. And I'm having most importantly, I'm having a really good time. It doesn't mean that everything's perfect, but overall I'm having a really good time. And I'm not going to waste my life in the, hey gorgeous Sarah, I'm not going to waste my life in this suffering, and that's down to me. You know, it's down to me to create the life, and you're the creatrix. You're creating everything, the shiz and the glory, right? So if you want more glory, if you want more gold, if you want more love, create it. And all that ego victimhood is going to have to dissolve. It really is, in order for you to really receive that next level. It just is going to have to go. So what are you willing to give up? What dagger are you willing to put down? What stories are you willing to fully give up? Who do you need to reach out to and tell them how much you love them? Who do you need to apologize to? Do you need to forgive yourself because you're actually self-attacking yourself all the time, and you need to say sorry to yourself and hold yourself and let that go? Because self-attack is one dense, ugly vibration that just brings more ugliness to you. So love on yourself. Let the attack go, right? Mwah. Okay, guys? So go and shine your glory, own your voice, speak up, be you. You don't need to be anything more but your truth self, the true self with no veil. So you don't need to be glam. You don't need to be like anyone else's brand. You don't need to be like Marie Forleo. You don't need to be like me. You don't need to be like whatever. Just be the fullest expression of you, because then there's this beautiful, hey Sarah, this beautiful connection, right? When we are in the, oh my God, and hiding and holding back, you can vibrationally feel it with somebody, right? There's no intimacy, there's no connection. That's the stuff that doesn't sell. That is the stuff that doesn't make you an influencer. That is the stuff that is really hard to watch, because the person, they don't have the ability to allow people in. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's because of all that, oh my God, am I good enough? Now, the way to get out of that too is to just get on video, start owning your voice, start speaking up, learn how to sell, learn how to monetize, learn how to connect. It is an art, but the biggest act that you could do is just to start the process. Start the process of being vulnerable. And I always say to my clients, you know, my students, like, I see all these amazing posts from people and some great content, and there's no call to action. There's no invitation. I call it the invitation. You're not trying to pitch to people. You're inviting them in to change their lives. I can help people radically, like full on. Like I'm a powerful diva, right? And I got the proof to back that up. The social proof happens. Miraculous, amazing stuff like your work, right? Why would you not invite them to get some of those juju? What? Right? Invite people to chat with you. Get them on calls. Have heart-to-heart chats. I sell mega that way through Facebook Messenger. I send people my video stories and video testimonials. I close that. I am showing people and demonstrating my ability, demonstrating my care, demonstrating the ROI that people get when they work with me. And I'm not afraid to do that. I do it all the time. I'm upselling my current clients. I'm doing it not because I'm like, oh, I need your extra bit of money, because I'm okay. Yes, of course I want more money. I want to make more money. I'm always wanting to grow my business as long as it's from a nourished place. But it's not coming from a position of like, I'm so desperate, I need your $5,000, $10,000 or whatever the effort is. It's, I want to serve. I'm here to serve, and I know I can deeply, radically blow your shiz up, right? So that vibration is just so different, and it does connect with your audience. It connects with people. And if they ever blow you off, because they are offended or whatever, sometimes it is people are a little bit confused about the way I approach things or whatever. Eventually they get around it and they're like, okay, I get it. And I'm not in your face, and I'm not doing a hard sell. But it really does flow for me. It's this beautiful heart connection of just like, let's have a chat and let's work this out. And I sell to serve, I sell to shine, I sell to bring the sacred forward. Okay guys, I've been on here for probably way too long boring you, but that's okay. I'm gonna go and work out. I'm gonna go spend some time with my lovely daughter, and got a yummy Lomi massage with one of the divine friend of mine that I've known for quite a long time, and she's also my editor, and can't wait to catch up with her today. And I'm sending you guys so much love. A million blessings. Hey Neve, bye everybody. Thanks for watching.